The rain had stopped by the time I pulled into Nathan's driveway, leaving the November air fresh and cool against my skin. Tomorrow was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Tomorrow, I would walk down the aisle in my beautiful blue wedding dress and marry the man I had loved for 3 years. Tonight, I just wanted to see him one more time before tradition kept us apart until the ceremony. I turned off the engine and sat there for a moment, smiling to myself. My phone buzzed with another text from my best friend Yolanda, asking if I was getting cold feet. I typed back quickly, never been more sure of anything. The warm glow from Nathan's living room windows made his house look cozy and inviting. His parents' car was in the driveway too, which made sense. They had flown in from Atlanta for the wedding and were staying with him. I grabbed the folder of final wedding details from the passenger seat. We still needed to confirm a few things with the caterer, and I thought we could go over them together one last time. My heels clicked softly against the wet pavement as I walked up the stone path to his front door. I was wearing a green dress, one of Nathan's favorites, and I had spent extra time on my hair and makeup. Silly maybe, but I wanted to look good for him. As I reached for the doorbell, I heard voices inside. Loud voices. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the button. The voices were coming from the living room, and the window was cracked open slightly. I probably should have rung the bell right then, but something in the tone made me pause. It was Nathan's voice, and he sounded stressed. "I don't know how much longer I can keep this up," Nathan said. "Simone is getting suspicious. She asked me yesterday why Tiffany keeps calling my phone." My hand froze. Tiffany was his coworker. He had mentioned her a few times, always casually, always in passing. My heart started beating faster. "You need to hold it together, son," his father's voice responded. "Just one more day. After the wedding, after you get access to her inheritance, you can do whatever you want. But you cannot mess this up now." I felt the blood drain from my face. My inheritance. My grandmother had left me a substantial amount of money when she passed away last year. Nearly $2 million. Nathan knew about it, of course. We had talked about using some of it for our future, for buying a house, maybe starting a business together. "But Dad, I love Tiffany," Nathan said, and my stomach turned. "This whole thing with Simone was your idea. You said it would be easy, that she was the perfect target. Rich, naive, trusting. And you played your part perfectly," his mother chimed in. Her voice was cold, calculating. "I had always thought she was warm and welcoming. That girl worships the ground you walk on. She'll sign whatever you put in front of her. Once you're married, her money becomes community property. You wait a respectable year, maybe 2, then you divorce her and take half. Meanwhile, you can keep Tiffany on the side." "A year?" Nathan laughed, but it was bitter. "Mom, I'm already exhausted from pretending. Simone wants to talk about feelings all the time. She wants to plan our future, talk about babies, all of it. It's suffocating." I backed away from the door, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the folder. This could not be real. This had to be some horrible nightmare. But the voices continued, each word like a blade cutting into my chest. "You chose her for a reason," his father said firmly. "She has no family except that cousin of hers, Jerome. Her parents are gone. She's isolated, vulnerable. That's why this works. After you're married, you can slowly distance her from her friends too. Make her dependent on you. Then when you leave, she'll be too broken to fight the divorce settlement." "And Tiffany is okay with waiting?" Nathan asked. "Tiffany knows the plan," his mother replied. "She's smarter than Simone. She understands this is business. Once you have the money, you and Tiffany can start your real life together. Maybe even move to another state, start fresh." I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from making a sound. Tears were streaming down my face, but I could not let them hear me. I had to get out of there. I had to think. "What if Simone doesn't sign the postnuptial agreement you drafted?" Nathan asked. "The one that gives me access to manage her inheritance?" "She will," his father said confidently. "You'll tell her it's to protect both of you, that it's what married couples do. You'll use that puppy dog look she loves so much. She'll sign it. She signs everything you give her without reading it properly. Remember the lease for your apartment? She co-signed without even checking the terms." They all laughed. They laughed at how stupid I was. How trusting. How easy to manipulate. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet. I had to get to my car. I had to leave before they saw me. My vision was blurry with tears, but I managed to make it back to my car without making too much noise. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get the key in the ignition. As I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror one last time at the house. The warm, glowing windows now looked sinister. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. Nathan did not love me. He never loved me. I was just a target, a means to an end. 3 years of my life, 3 years of love and trust and planning a future, all of it was fake. I drove aimlessly for 20 minutes before I realized I was heading toward my apartment. The apartment I had planned to give up after the wedding. The apartment I would have left to move into Nathan's house, into his life, into his trap. When I finally pulled into my parking spot, I sat there in the darkness and let myself cry. Really cry. The kind of crying that comes from deep in your chest, the kind that makes your whole body shake. I cried for the love I thought I had. I cried for the future I had imagined. I cried for the fool I had been. But somewhere in the middle of all that pain, something else started to grow. Something hot and fierce and unbreakable. Anger. They thought I was weak. They thought I was stupid. They thought they could use me and throw me away. They were wrong. I wiped my tears and pulled out my phone. My fingers were steadier now as I scrolled through my contacts. I called Jerome, my cousin. He was a lawyer, one of the best in the city. He answered on the second ring. Simone? Isn't it bad luck to talk to anyone the night before your wedding? Jerome, I said, and my voice only shook a little. I need your help. Can you come over right now? It's important. What's wrong? You sound upset. I'll explain everything when you get here. Just please come. And bring your laptop. We have work to do. I'm on my way. I hung up and called Yolanda next. She answered immediately, her voice bright and happy. Hey bride-to-be. What's up? Yolanda, can you come to my apartment? Right now? Simone? What happened? Are you okay? No, I said honestly. I'm not okay. But I will be. I just need you here. I'm coming. Hold on. I sat in my car for a few more minutes, letting the anger burn through the pain. Nathan thought he was so smart. His parents thought they had planned everything perfectly. Tiffany thought she was getting a rich man. They had no idea what I was capable of. They had no idea that the shy, sweet, trusting Simone they thought they knew was about to become their worst nightmare. Tomorrow was still my wedding day. But it was not going to go the way Nathan expected. Not even close. I got out of the car and walked into my apartment building with my head held high. I had 12 hours until the wedding. 12 hours to plan. 12 hours to make sure that when Nathan walked down that aisle, he would get exactly what he deserved. Not a wife. Not my money. Not my life. Just the truth. And the consequences. I barely slept. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Nathan's voice saying he loved Tiffany. I heard his parents laughing about how naive I was. I saw the future I had imagined crumbling into dust. But I did not cry anymore. Crying was done. Now it was time for action. Jerome had arrived at my apartment within 30 minutes last night, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder and concern written all over his face. Yolanda had shown up right behind him, still in her pajamas with a coat thrown over them. They were the only real family I had left, and seeing them reminded me that I was not as alone as Nathan's parents thought. Okay, Jerome had said, settling onto my couch and opening his laptop. Tell me everything. I told them. Every word I had heard. Every detail of the conversation. Yolanda's face went from shock to fury, her hands clenching into fists. Jerome's expression grew darker with each sentence, his lawyer brain already working through the implications. That piece of trash, Yolanda had hissed. I never liked him. I told you something was off about him. You did not, I said weakly. You said he was charming. Charming like a snake, she muttered. I should have trusted my gut. Jerome held up a hand. Recriminations later. Right now, we need to figure out what Simone wants to do. Simone, do you want to cancel the wedding? I had thought about that during my drive home. The easy thing would be to call it off, to send out a mass text, to hide in my apartment and lick my wounds. But that would let Nathan off too easy. He would just move on to his next target, his next victim. His parents would help him find another woman to con. Tiffany would probably comfort him and help him plan the next scheme. No, they needed to face consequences. Real ones. I want to go through with the wedding, I said, and both Jerome and Yolanda stared at me like I had lost my mind. But not to marry him. I want to expose him. I want everyone to know what he did, what he planned to do. I want him humiliated the way he planned to humiliate me. A slow smile spread across Jerome's face. Now that's the Simone I know. The one who does not let people walk all over her. But how? Yolanda asked. You cannot just stand up at the altar and accuse him. He will deny everything. That's where you come in, Jerome, I said. You're a lawyer. You know about evidence. Help me gather proof. Help me make sure that when I reveal what he is, no one can doubt it. We had worked until 3 in the morning. Jerome helped me set up a recording app on my phone. He taught me how to ask leading questions that would make Nathan incriminate himself. Yolanda went through my phone and laptop, screenshotting every suspicious text message from Nathan, every time he had canceled plans last minute, every instance that now looked like he was with Tiffany instead. "We need something concrete," Jerome had said. "Something he cannot explain away. The conversation you overheard is your word against his unless you recorded it." "I did not," I admitted. "I was too shocked to think about recording. Then we get him to confess today. Before the wedding." Now, as Saturday morning sunlight streamed through my bedroom window, I looked at myself in the mirror. I had bags under my eyes, but my gaze was steady, determined. I was wearing a red blouse and jeans, comfortable clothes for the busy day ahead. The wedding was not until 6 in the evening, which gave me hours to execute the plan. My phone rang. "Nathan." I let it ring 3 times before answering, making sure my voice sounded normal. "Happy. Excited." "Hey you," I said. "Are not we supposed to be staying apart until the ceremony?" I know, Nathan said, and he sounded so sincere. So loving. How had I never noticed the falseness before? "I just missed hearing your voice. I could not wait until tonight to tell you how much I love you." "I love you." The words that used to make my heart soar now made my stomach turn. "I love you too," I lied smoothly. "Are you nervous?" "A little," he admitted. "Big day. Big changes. But I'm ready. I'm ready to start our life together, Simone. You and me against the world. You and me and Tiffany and your parents and my money," I thought bitterly. But out loud I said, "I cannot wait. Hey, can we meet for coffee this morning? I know it's tradition to stay apart, but I really want to see you. Just for an hour." There was a pause. "I don't know. My parents are here and we were going to go over some last-minute things. Please?" I made my voice soft, pleading. The voice of the naive Simone he thought he knew. "I'm so anxious. I just need to see your face, hold your hand. It will calm me down." Another pause. Then, "Okay. For you, anything. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street in an hour?" "Perfect. See you soon." I hung up and looked at Yolanda, who was sitting on my bed. She had stayed over, refusing to leave me alone. "He took the bait." "Of course he did," Yolanda said. "He thinks you're desperate for him. Let's make sure your phone is recording everything." Jerome arrived 20 minutes later with a small device that looked like a pen. "Backup recording," he explained. "Keep this in your purse. It will pick up everything he says. Even if he notices your phone recording, he will not notice this." I took the pen and tucked it carefully into my purse. Then I changed into a blue dress, one that Nathan had bought me for my birthday. I might as well look the part of the devoted bride. The coffee shop was busy when I arrived, full of people enjoying their Saturday morning. I spotted Nathan immediately. He was sitting at a corner table, looking handsome in a casual button-up shirt. He stood when he saw me, that familiar smile spreading across his face. The smile that used to make me melt. "There's my beautiful bride," he said, pulling me into a hug. He smelled like his cologne, the expensive one I had bought him for Christmas. Everything about him was a lie, paid for with my emotions, my trust, my money. We sat down with our coffee. I had already started the recording on my phone, which was face down on the table between us. The pen in my purse was recording too. "You look tired," Nathan said, reaching across to take my hand. "Did you sleep okay?" "Not really," I admitted. "I kept thinking about our future. About all the changes coming." "Me too," he said. "Actually, that's something I wanted to talk to you about. I know we discussed this before, but my dad drew up some paperwork. Just financial stuff to protect both of us once we are married." Here it was. The post-nuptial agreement his father had mentioned. "What kind of paperwork?" I asked, keeping my voice curious, not suspicious. "Just standard stuff for married couples," Nathan said smoothly. "It gives us both authority to manage our combined assets. That way, if something happens to one of us, the other can access everything without legal hassles. It's actually to protect you, Simone. Protect your inheritance from your grandmother." The audacity of the lie was breathtaking. "Oh," I said. "That makes sense. You're always thinking ahead, Nathan. That's one of the things I love about you." He smiled, looking pleased with himself. "I try to take care of you. That's all I have ever wanted to do." "Is that all you want?" I asked carefully. "Just to take care of me?" "Of course," he said. "You're my everything, Simone. After tonight we will be husband and wife. Partners in everything. Your dreams are my dreams. Your future is my future." "And what about your dreams?" I pressed gently. "What do you want from our marriage?" He squeezed my hand. I want us to be happy. I want to build a life together. Maybe start a family someday. Travel the world. Grow old together. Every word was poison wrapped in honey. I forced myself to smile. That sounds perfect. But Nathan, can I ask you something? And I need you to be completely honest with me. A flicker of something crossed his face. Worry? Fear? But it was gone in an instant. Of course. You can ask me anything. Is there anyone else? I asked quietly. Anyone I should know about before we get married? His hand tightened on mine. What? No. Simone, where is this coming from? I just need to be sure, I said. I need to know that you are as committed to this as I am. That there are no secrets between us. There are no secrets, he said firmly. Simone, you are the only woman I want. The only woman I have ever wanted. Where is this insecurity coming from? I shrugged. Wedding jitters, I guess. And maybe because Tiffany has been calling you a lot lately. You said it was work stuff, but... It is work stuff, he insisted. Tiffany is just a coworker. Nothing more. I barely even talked to her outside of work. Another lie. Jerome had checked Nathan's phone records last night. He and Tiffany talked for hours every week. Long conversations late at night, when Nathan told me he was too tired to talk. Okay, I said, pretending to be reassured. I believe you. I'm sorry for doubting you. Don't be sorry, Nathan said. I understand. You are nervous. This is a big step. But Simone, I promise you after tonight, all your doubts will disappear. We are going to be so happy together. We talked for another 30 minutes. He told me about the honeymoon he had planned, the surprise trip to the Caribbean. He talked about the house we would buy, the life we would build. Every word was a performance, and now I could see right through it. When we finally said goodbye, he kissed me softly. I will see you at the altar, my love. Just a few more hours. Just a few more hours, I echoed. I watched him walk away, then turned off the recording. I had what I needed. His lies captured forever. His false promises documented. I walked back to my car and called Jerome. I got it. All of it. Good, Jerome said. Now comes the hard part. Are you sure you want to do this at the wedding? We could handle this privately. I'm sure, I said. He planned to humiliate me slowly over years. I'm going to return the favor in one night. He wants a wedding? He's going to get one. Just not the one he expected. The rest of the day was a blur. Hair and makeup at the salon with Yolanda by my side. Picking up the wedding dress, the beautiful blue gown I had spent months choosing. Getting ready at the hotel near the venue, surrounded by the few friends I had invited. They all thought this was a normal wedding day. They had no idea what was coming. At 5:30, I stood in front of the mirror in my wedding dress. The blue fabric flowed around me like water, elegant and simple. My hair was swept up, my makeup perfect. I looked like a bride. A happy bride. But inside, I was a woman on a mission. You look beautiful, Yolanda whispered, tears in her eyes. Are you ready? I picked up my bouquet of red roses. I'm ready. It was time to walk down the aisle. Time to face Nathan and his lies. Time to show him what happened when you underestimated Simone Richardson. The wedding was about to begin. But not the way Nathan planned. Not at all. The wedding venue was stunning. We had chosen a historic mansion with gardens that overlooked the city. White chairs were arranged in neat rows on the lawn, decorated with red and green ribbons. A string quartet played softly as guests arrived, dressed in their finest clothes. The evening sun cast a golden glow over everything, making it look like a scene from a fairy tale. Nathan's fairy tale was about to become a nightmare. I watched from the bridal suite window as guests filed in. There were about 100 people, most of them from Nathan's side. I had kept my guest list small, just a few close friends and some distant relatives. My parents were gone, my grandmother was gone, and I had no siblings. Nathan's parents had commented on this often during our engagement, always with a sympathetic tone. Now I understood why. They thought my isolation made me easier to manipulate. They were wrong. Simone, honey, you need to eat something, one of my bridesmaids, Brielle, said. She held out a plate of fruit and cheese. You have not touched any food all day. I took a strawberry to appease her, though my stomach was in knots. Not from nerves about marrying Nathan. From anticipation of what I was about to do. My phone buzzed. A text from Jerome. Everything is ready. The AV system is set up. Just give me the signal. I typed back, thank you. Stand by. Jerome was not just my lawyer and cousin. He was my co-conspirator. Last night, after recording my conversation with Nathan this morning, we had put together a presentation. A slideshow of evidence. Screenshots of text messages between Nathan and Tiffany. Photos of them together that I had found on social media, carefully cropped to hide their relationship from public view. Phone records showing hundreds of calls between them. And the audio recording from this morning, where Nathan lied directly to my face about Tiffany being just a co-worker. Jerome had contacted the venue this afternoon, claiming he needed to test the sound system for a surprise video tribute to the bride and groom. The staff had been happy to help, giving him full access to the AV equipment. Now all I had to do was give the signal, and the truth would be broadcast on the large screen set up around the venue. There was a knock at the door. Simone? It's me. I recognized the voice immediately. Nathan's mother, Patricia. The woman who had called me naive and easy to manipulate. The woman who had helped plan my financial destruction. Come in, I called, keeping my voice sweet. Patricia entered, looking elegant in a maroon dress. She smiled at me warmly, but now I could see the calculation behind her eyes. Oh, Simone, you look absolutely beautiful. My son is so lucky. Thank you, I said. I'm the lucky one, really? Nathan is such an amazing man. You raised him so well. Her smile widened. We did our best. You know, Richard and I are so happy Nathan found you. You are exactly what he needs. A rich target, you mean, I thought. But I smiled back. That's so sweet of you to say. Patricia moved closer, lowering her voice conspiratorially. I wanted to talk to you about something. Nathan mentioned you might have some concerns about the financial paperwork Richard prepared, so they were worried I might not sign. Good. Oh, no concerns, I said easily. I trust Nathan completely. If he thinks it's important, I'm happy to sign whatever you need. Relief flashed across Patricia's face. Wonderful. We can take care of that during the reception. It's really just a formality, but it will make everything so much easier down the road. Down the road when you are divorcing me and stealing my money, I added silently. Of course, I said. I want everything to be perfect for our future together. Patricia patted my hand. You are such a sweet girl, Simone. Nathan is very lucky indeed. She left and I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. Yolanda appeared from the bathroom, where she had been hiding during Patricia's visit. I cannot believe her, Yolanda hissed. Standing there, smiling at you, planning to rob you blind. She won't get the chance, I said grimly. None of them will. There was another knock. This time it was the wedding coordinator. Miss Richardson? It's time. Are you ready? I looked at myself one more time in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was not the naive, trusting Simone that Nathan thought he knew. She was stronger, smarter, angrier. I'm ready, I said. The bridesmaids lined up, Brielle and 2 other friends from college. Yolanda was my maid of honor, and she squeezed my hand as we took our positions. You can still back out, she whispered. We can leave right now. Get in your car and drive away. I'm not running, I whispered back. This ends today. My way. The music changed. The wedding march began. The guests stood, turning to watch the procession. I saw Nathan at the altar, looking handsome in his black tuxedo. His best man stood beside him, along with 2 groomsmen. Nathan's face lit up when he saw me, that perfect loving expression that had fooled me for so long. I walked down the aisle slowly, holding my bouquet of red roses. Every step brought me closer to the moment of truth. Every step was measured, calm, controlled. I smiled at guests as I passed, playing the role of the happy bride perfectly. When I reached the altar, Nathan took my hand. His palm was slightly sweaty. Was he nervous? Excited about finally getting access to my money? Or did he somehow sense that something was wrong? The officiant began the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Nathan Christopher Morrison and Simone Elise Richardson. I barely heard the words. I was watching Nathan's face, memorizing this moment. The last moment he would look at me with that fake love in his eyes. Marriage is a sacred bond, the officiant continued, built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Trust, honesty, respect. 3 things Nathan had never given me. If anyone has any reason why these 2 should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. This was it. The traditional moment for objections. But I was not going to object to my own wedding. That would be too simple. Too easy for Nathan to explain away. The officiant waited the customary moment, then smiled. Very well. Nathan, Simone, you have chosen to write your own vows. Nathan, would you like to begin? Nathan nodded, turning to face me fully. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his pocket, but he did not look at it. He had memorized his vows. Of course he had. He was a professional con artist. Simone, he began, his voice warm and tender. 3 years ago, I met you at that coffee shop and I knew my life was about to change. You walked in with your smile, your laugh, your incredible spirit, and I was lost. From that first conversation, I knew I wanted to spend every day making you happy. Some of the guests sighed. I heard someone sniffle. They were buying every word. You are my best friend, my partner, my soulmate, Nathan continued. I promise to love you through good times and bad. I promise to support your dreams and be there for you always. I promise to be faithful, honest, and true. You are my world, Simone. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Faithful, honest, true. The lies rolled off his tongue so easily. When he finished, the guests applauded softly. The officiant turned to me. Simone, your vows? I had prepared 2 sets of vows. One that I was supposed to say. One that I was actually going to say. I took a breath and began. Nathan, when I met you 3 years ago, I thought I had found my forever. I thought I had found a man who loved me for who I was, not for what I had. I thought I had found honesty and integrity and real love. Nathan smiled, squeezing my hands. He thought this was going well. But I have learned something important. I continued, my voice growing stronger. I have learned that not everything is what it seems. That sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who betray us the deepest. Nathan's smile faltered slightly. Confusion crossed his face. Last night, I said loudly enough for everyone to hear, I went to your house. I was going to surprise you. But I was the one who got surprised. Because I overheard a very interesting conversation between you and your parents. The color drained from Nathan's face. Behind him, I saw his father Richard stand up, alarm written all over his features. Patricia had gone pale. Simone, what are you talking about? Nathan asked, trying to sound bewildered. What conversation? I pulled my hand away from his. The conversation where you talked about how you never loved me. Where you discussed your relationship with Tiffany. Where your parents laid out the plan to steal my inheritance after we got married. Gasps erupted from the guest. Nathan's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. That's not true, he finally managed. Simone, you are confused. You must have misheard something. I did not mishear anything, I said. And I have proof. Jerome? Jerome stood up from his seat in the 3rd row. He pulled out his phone and pressed a button. The large screens around the venue lit up. The first image appeared. A text message from Nathan to Tiffany. Miss you so much. Cannot wait until this is all over and we can be together for real. The date stamp showed it was from 2 weeks ago. What is this? Someone in the audience called out. More images appeared. Nathan and Tiffany at a restaurant holding hands. Nathan and Tiffany kissing in his car. Text after text, planning their future together. Planning how they would spend my money. Stop this, Nathan said, lunging toward Jerome. But Jerome was too far away and Nathan's groomsmen grabbed him, holding him back. Let everyone see the truth, I said calmly. Let them see what kind of man you really are. The final piece played, the audio recording from this morning. Nathan's voice filled the venue, crystal clear. Of course there are no secrets. Simone, you are the only woman I want. Then my voice, and what about Tiffany? Tiffany is just a coworker. Nothing more. I barely even talk to her outside of work. The phone records appeared on the screen, showing hundreds of calls between Nathan and Tiffany. Hours and hours of conversations. The guests were in an uproar. People were standing, pointing, shouting questions. Nathan's parents were trying to leave, but Jerome had positioned some of my friends near the exits. How could you? Nathan's aunt yelled at him. That poor girl trusted you. Nathan turned to me, his expression twisting from shock to anger. You had no right to spy on me. This is private. Private? I repeated. You planned to steal from me. You lied to me for 3 years. You were going to marry me just to get my money. And you think you deserve privacy? It was not like that, he tried, but his voice was weak. It was exactly like that, I said. I turned to the crowd. Nathan Morrison is a liar and a con artist. His parents helped him plan this. They targeted me because they thought I was weak and alone. They thought they could use me and throw me away. I looked back at Nathan, meeting his eyes. But you were wrong about me. I'm not weak. I'm not stupid. And I am definitely not going to be your victim. I turned to the officiant, who was standing there in complete shock. There will not be a wedding today. Or ever. Nathan Morrison, I never want to see you again. I handed my bouquet to Yolanda and walked down the aisle, my head held high. Behind me, chaos erupted. Guests were confronting Nathan and his parents. People were crying, shouting, demanding answers. But I kept walking. I walked out of that venue, out of that chapter of my life and into something new. Yolanda and Jerome caught up to me in the parking lot. That was incredible, Yolanda breathed. Simone, you were amazing. I feel sick, I admitted, the adrenaline starting to wear off. You should, Jerome said. You just took down a con artist in front of 100 people. But Simone, this is not over. Nathan and his parents are going to be angry. We need to make sure you are protected. What do you mean? I asked. I mean legally, Jerome said. They could try to sue you for defamation. They could try to claim you damaged Nathan's reputation. I laughed, but it was hollow. Let them try. I have evidence of everything. I know, Jerome said. But we still need to be careful. Let me handle the legal side. You focus on taking care of yourself. Yolanda wrapped her arm around me. Come on. Let's get you out of this dress and into something comfortable. Then we are going to my place and you are going to eat ice cream and cry if you need to. I don't want to cry, I said. Then you don't have to, Yolanda said gently. But the option is there. We drove away from the venue, leaving behind the wreckage of what should have been my wedding day. I looked back one time and saw Nathan standing in the doorway watching me leave. Even from this distance, I could see the fury on his face. Let him be angry. Let him know what it felt like to have your world destroyed. I faced forward and did not look back again. The hotel room was quiet after the chaos of the venue. Yolanda helped me out of my wedding dress, carefully hanging it in the closet. I stood there in my slip, staring at the blue gown that I had loved so much just days ago. Now it felt like a costume from someone else's life. Do you want to keep it? Yolanda asked gently. No, I said. Donate it. Maybe someone else can have a real wedding in it. A wedding based on love, not lies. I changed into jeans and a green sweater, comfortable clothes that felt like armor. My phone was buzzing constantly. Text messages from guests, calls from people I barely knew, voicemails from reporters who had somehow already heard about the scandal. Jerome arrived with takeout food and his laptop. Okay, he said, setting up at the hotel room desk. We need to go through everything that happened and prepare for the fallout. What kind of fallout? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Nathan and his parents are going to try to spin this, Jerome said. They're going to claim you are lying, that you manipulated the evidence, that you are crazy or vindictive. We need to get ahead of their narrative. How? I asked. By controlling the story ourselves, Jerome said. I have already contacted a few journalists I trust. They want to interview you, hear your side. If you are willing. I thought about it. Part of me just wanted to disappear, to hide from the whole mess. But that would let Nathan and his family off easy. They would spin their lies and move on to their next victim. I'll do it, I said. But only if they report the facts. I don't want this to become some sensational tabloid story. I will make sure they handle it professionally, Jerome promised. But Simone, you need to prepare yourself. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. He was right. Over the next few hours, my phone exploded with activity. Nathan called 17 times. I did not answer. His parents called too, leaving voicemails that ranged from threatening legal action to begging me to reconsider, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. There was no misunderstanding. I had the recordings. I had the evidence. And I had witnesses who had seen Nathan's face when the truth came out. Around midnight there was a knock on the hotel room door. Yolanda looked through the peephole and turned to me, her expression serious. It's Nathan. Don't open it, I said immediately. Simone, please. Nathan's voice came through the door. I just want to talk to you. 5 minutes. That's all I am asking. Go away, Nathan, I called back. We have nothing to talk about. I can explain everything, he said. The things you heard, you took them out of context. My parents were just worried about protecting both of us financially. It wasn't what it sounded like. I have your text messages to Tiffany, I said. I have recordings of you lying to my face. There is no context that makes any of that okay. Simone, I love you, Nathan said, and his voice cracked. Was he actually crying? Or was this just another performance? I made mistakes, okay? I admit that. But we can work through this. Don't throw away 3 years over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I repeated, anger flaring hot in my chest. I walked to the door, though I did not open it. You planned to steal from me. You never loved me. You were using me. That's not true, Nathan insisted. Yes, I was involved with Tiffany, but that was a mistake. A stupid mistake. You are the one I really love. You are the one I want to marry. You want to marry my money? I said coldly. You want access to my inheritance. That's all you ever wanted. How can you say that? Nathan asked. After everything we have been through together? All the time we have spent building our relationship? Building your con, you mean? I said. Every date, every kiss, every I love you, was part of the plan. Well, congratulations, Nathan. You're a really good actor. You almost had me fooled. Simone, please, he said, and now he definitely sounded like he was crying. Open the door. Let me see you. Let me explain. Jerome, I said, turning to my cousin. Call hotel security. Get him out of here. Jerome was already on the phone. Within minutes, security arrived and escorted Nathan from the hallway. He went without much fight, but I could hear him protesting the whole way. She's my fiancé. I have a right to talk to her. You have no rights where I am concerned, I muttered. Yolanda sat down beside me on the bed. Are you okay? No, I said honestly. But I will be. The rest of the night passed in a blur. I did not sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Nathan's face, heard his lies, remembered the pain of discovering the truth. But mixed with the pain was something else. Relief. Relief that I had found out before the wedding. Relief that I had not signed his father's documents. Relief that I had gotten out. Sunday morning dawned gray and rainy. Appropriate weather for how I felt. Jerome had arranged for me to meet with a journalist named Lauren Brooks, a respected reporter who specialized in financial crimes and fraud. She arrived at the hotel at 10, professional and kind. Miss Richardson, she said, shaking my hand. Thank you for agreeing to talk to me. I know this must be incredibly difficult. Call me Simone, I said. And yes, it is difficult. But it is also necessary. We sat down in the hotel's small conference room. Lauren set up a recorder and took out her notebook. I want you to know that I am going to treat your story with the respect it deserves. This is not about sensationalism. This is about exposing fraud and protecting other potential victims. Other victims? I repeated. Lauren nodded. After your story started circulating last night, I did some digging. Nathan Morrison has been engaged twice before. Both engagements ended abruptly, and both women had significant financial resources. I have not been able to confirm anything yet, but the pattern is suspicious. I felt sick. He has done this before? Possibly, Lauren said carefully. I am still investigating. But if he has, your willingness to speak out might encourage them to come forward too. I thought about those women, whoever they were. Had they discovered Nathan's lies too? Or had they broken off the engagements for other reasons, never knowing how close they came to being conned? Tell me everything, Lauren said gently. Start from the beginning. I told her the whole story. How I met Nathan at a coffee shop 3 years ago. How he had been charming and attentive, everything I had ever wanted in a partner. How he had slowly integrated himself into my life, meeting my friends, learning about my family history, finding out about my inheritance. Did he know about the money from the beginning? Lauren asked. I don't think so, I said. My grandmother died about a year into our relationship. That's when I inherited. But I did not tell Nathan about it right away. I wanted to see if he would stay with me regardless of money. And he did. Yes, I admitted. Or so I thought. Now I wonder if he found out some other way and that's why he proposed 6 months later. I told her about the conversation I overheard at Nathan's house. About the recording I made of him lying about Tiffany. About the evidence Jerome and I had compiled. You were very smart to gather evidence, Lauren said. Many victims of this kind of con do not think to document things. They are too shocked, too hurt. But you kept your head. I was hurt, I said. I was devastated. But I was also angry. And anger can be very clarifying. Lauren smiled slightly. Indeed it can. Simone, I am going to write this story and I am going to make sure people understand what Nathan Morrison tried to do to you. But I want your permission to include the information about his previous engagements. If I can confirm them. You have my permission, I said. If he has done this to other women, they deserve to know they are not alone. And other women deserve to know what he is capable of. The interview lasted 2 hours. By the end, I was exhausted but also strangely lighter. Telling the story to someone neutral, someone who believed me without question, helped somehow. What are you going to do now? Lauren asked as she packed up her recorder. I don't know, I admitted. Jerome is handling the legal aspects. Making sure Nathan and his parents cannot sue me or harass me. Beyond that, I am taking things one day at a time. That's probably wise, Lauren said. This kind of betrayal takes time to process. But Simone, I want you to know that what you did took tremendous courage. A lot of people would have just canceled the wedding quietly and tried to move on. But you stood up for yourself publicly. You exposed a predator. That matters. After Lauren left, I sat alone in the conference room for a while. Through the window, I could see the city going about its Sunday business. People walking their dogs, couples holding hands, families heading to brunch. Normal life continuing while mine had been turned upside down. But I was still here. Still standing. Still fighting. Yolanda found me there an hour later. "Hey," she said softly. "Jerome says we should get you out of this hotel. Nathan knows you are here. He could come back." "Where should I go?" I asked. My apartment did not feel safe. Nathan had a key. He had spent countless nights there. "My place," Yolanda said firmly. "I have a guest room. You can stay as long as you need." "Are you sure?" I asked. "I don't want to impose." "Simone, you are my best friend," Yolanda said. "You are never an imposition. Besides, my place has better security than your apartment building. And Nathan does not know where I live." That decided it. We went back to my hotel room, gathered my things, and checked out. As we drove to Yolanda's apartment across town, I felt some of the tension leave my shoulders. I was not alone. I had people who cared about me, who were protecting me. Nathan had been wrong about so many things. But his biggest mistake was underestimating me. He thought I would be an easy target because I had lost my parents, because I had a small circle of friends, because I was trusting and kind. He did not understand that those same qualities that made me trusting also made me loyal to the people who deserved it. And they were loyal right back. Yolanda's apartment was bright and cozy, filled with plants and colorful artwork. She showed me to the guest room, which had a comfortable bed and its own bathroom. "Make yourself at home," she said. "I'm going to order us some food." "What sounds good?" "Anything," I said. "I'm not really hungry, but I should eat." While Yolanda ordered food, I sat on the bed and finally let myself feel everything. The grief of losing the future I had imagined. The anger at being lied to and used. The fear of what came next. The relief of escaping. The pride in standing up for myself. It was a lot. Too much, really. But I let it wash over me, let myself cry quietly into the pillow. Tomorrow I would start rebuilding. Tomorrow I would begin moving forward. But today I would let myself mourn what I had lost, even if it had never been real to begin with. Monday morning arrived with harsh reality. I woke up in Yolanda's guest room, disoriented for a moment before everything came crashing back. The wedding that did not happen. The exposure of Nathan's lies. The humiliation he must be feeling now. He deserved every bit of it. My phone showed 43 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Most were from numbers I did not recognize. Some were supportive messages from acquaintances who had attended the wedding. Others were from reporters trying to get my story. And several were from Nathan, his parents, and even Tiffany. I deleted Tiffany's messages without reading them. Whatever she had to say, I did not want to hear it. She had known Nathan was engaged. She had participated in his con. She was just as guilty as he was. Jerome called at 8. "Good morning. How are you holding up?" "I've been better," I admitted. "But I am okay." "What's the legal situation?" "Nathan's family hired a lawyer," Jerome said. "They sent a letter threatening to sue you for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. It is all bluster though. They have no case. Everything you revealed was true and you have evidence to back it up. So I don't need to worry?" "I would not say that exactly," Jerome said carefully. "They could still file a nuisance lawsuit just to harass you. But if they do, we will fight it and win." In the meantime, I sent them a response making it clear that any further harassment will result in us filing a restraining order. "Thank you, Jerome," I said. "I don't know what I would do without you." "You would manage," Jerome said. "You are stronger than you think, Simone. But you don't have to manage alone. That's what family is for." After hanging up with Jerome, I made myself shower and get dressed. Yolanda had already left for work but had left a note on the kitchen counter. "Food in the fridge. Make yourself at home. Call if you need anything. Love you." I stood in her bright kitchen, drinking coffee and trying to figure out what to do with myself. I was supposed to be on my honeymoon right now. Nathan and I should have been on a plane to the Caribbean, starting our married life together. Instead, I was hiding out in my best friend's apartment, trying to piece my life back together. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? Is this Simone Richardson?" A woman's voice, unfamiliar. "Who is this?" I asked warily. "My name is Christine Wallace. I saw the news about your wedding. About Nathan Morrison." My heart started pounding. "Okay. And I was engaged to him too. 5 years ago." I sat down heavily on Yolanda's couch. "What?" He told me he loved me, Christine continued, her voice shaking slightly. We dated for 2 years. He proposed. We planned a wedding. And then, 3 weeks before we were supposed to get married, he broke it off out of nowhere. Said he was not ready for commitment. Did he try to get money from you? I asked. There was a pause. How did you know? Because that's what he tried to do to me, I said. That's what the whole relationship was about. Christine let out a bitter laugh. I inherited a trust fund from my uncle. Nathan knew about it. He was very interested in how trusts work, how the money could be accessed. I thought he was just being financially responsible. Now I realize he was planning something. Why did he break off your engagement? I asked. I don't know for sure, Christine admitted. But looking back, I think my uncle's lawyer got suspicious. He started asking questions about Nathan, doing background checks. I think Nathan got scared and bailed before his con could be exposed. I am so sorry, I said. That must have been terrible. It was, Christine said. But not as terrible as marrying him would have been. Simone, when I saw what happened at your wedding, how you exposed him, I wanted to cheer. You did what I wish I had been brave enough to do. You did not know what he was, I said. I only found out by accident. But you did something about it, Christine said. You did not let him get away with it. You warned other women. That takes courage. We talked for another 20 minutes. Christine told me about her relationship with Nathan, and the similarities were eerie. The same charm, the same techniques, the same slow integration into her life and finances. He had a pattern, a system. Have you talked to the journalist, Lauren Brooks? I asked. I have an interview scheduled with her tomorrow, Christine said. I want to go on record. I want people to know that you are not the only one. There might be others, I said. Lauren mentioned Nathan was engaged before you too. Then we need to find them, Christine said firmly. We need to make sure he cannot do this again. After hanging up with Christine, I felt a strange sense of purpose. This was bigger than just my broken engagement. Nathan was a predator who targeted vulnerable women. If we could expose his pattern, we could protect future victims. I called Lauren Brooks and told her about my conversation with Christine. This is good, Lauren said. Really good. The more victims who come forward, the stronger the case for potential criminal charges. Criminal charges? I repeated. For what? Fraud, potentially, Lauren said. If we can prove a pattern of deception for financial gain, that crosses the line from being a jerk to committing a crime. I have a contact at the district attorney's office. Let me see what I can find out. The rest of Monday passed in a blur of phone calls and research. Christine was not the only one. Lauren tracked down another woman, Denise, who had dated Nathan 4 years ago. She had not been engaged to him, but he had borrowed $15,000 from her for a business investment that never materialized. When she asked for the money back, he ghosted her. I reported it to the police, Denise told me over the phone. But they said it was a civil matter, not criminal. I eventually sued him in small claims court and won, but I never got my money back. He just ignored the judgment. How many women has he done this to? I wondered aloud. Too many, Denise said darkly. But at least now people will know what he is. Tuesday morning, Lauren's article came out. It was on the front page of the local news website, with a follow-up promised in the print edition. The headline read, Local man exposed as serial con artist after bride uncovers scheme at wedding. The article was thorough and fair. Lauren had interviewed me, Christine, and Denise. She had documented Nathan's pattern of targeting women with money, gaining their trust, and then either stealing from them directly or planning to do so through marriage. The article included the recordings I had made, the text messages, the evidence. It went viral within hours. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone was ringing nonstop. More women were coming forward. Women who had dated Nathan briefly or had been asked for money. A few reporters wanted follow-up interviews. And several law firms reached out, offering to represent me if Nathan or his family did sue. But the most surprising call came from the district attorney's office. Miss Richardson, my name is Angela Torres. I am a prosecutor with the fraud division. I have been following your case, and I would like to meet with you to discuss potential criminal charges against Nathan Morrison. Really? I asked, surprised. I thought this was a civil matter. Normally it would be, Angela said. But the pattern of behavior, combined with the evidence of premeditation and intent to defraud, gives us enough to build a criminal case. I cannot promise anything yet, but I would like to explore the possibility. We set up a meeting for Wednesday. Jerome insisted on coming with me in his capacity as my lawyer. That night, Yolanda and I sat on her couch with pizza and wine, watching the news coverage of the story. My face was on the screen, a photo from my now deleted social media accounts. Nathan's face was there too, looking smug in an old photo. The contrast between us was stark. "How do you feel?" Yolanda asked. "Weird," I admitted. "This has all gotten so big. I just wanted to protect myself and warn other women. Now it is a whole thing." "It is a whole thing because what Nathan did matters," Yolanda said. "He hurt people. He manipulated them. Someone needed to stop him and you did." "I didn't do it alone," I said. "You helped. Jerome helped. Christine and the other women who spoke up helped." "True," Yolanda said. "But you started it. You were the one brave enough to blow up your own wedding rather than let him win. That set everything else in motion." I thought about that. Brave. People kept using that word. But I did not feel brave. I felt scared and hurt and angry. I felt like I was barely holding it together. But maybe that was what bravery actually was. Not the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it. Wednesday's meeting with Angela Torres was intense. She and another prosecutor, Daniel Kim, went through all the evidence with Jerome and me. They asked detailed questions about Nathan's behavior, his statements, his access to my financial information. "We believe we have enough for fraud charges," Angela finally said. "The challenge will be proving intent. We need to show that Nathan entered into these relationships with the specific purpose of stealing money, not that he was just a bad boyfriend who happened to ask for loans." "The recording from his parents' house proves intent," Jerome pointed out. "They explicitly discussed using Simone to access her inheritance." "That helps," Angela agreed. "But it is not enough on its own. We need a pattern. We need multiple victims telling similar stories. We need documentation of his methods." "How many victims do you need?" I asked. "The more the better," Angela said. "Right now we have 3 solid cases, yours, Christine's, and Denise's. If we can find 2 or 3 more, we will have an undeniable pattern." Lauren's article helped with that. Over the next few days more women reached out. Some had dated Nathan briefly. Others had loaned him money. One woman had almost gone into business with him before her accountant warned her the deal seemed shady. By Friday we had 7 victims willing to testify. 7 women whose stories painted a clear picture of Nathan Morrison as a calculating predator who targeted vulnerable women for financial gain. Angela called me Friday evening. "We are filing charges on Monday. Fraud in the first degree. If convicted, Nathan could face up to 15 years in prison." 15 years. I tried to imagine Nathan in prison and couldn't. He was so smooth, so charming. How would he survive in an environment where his usual tricks did not work? That was not my problem anymore. Friday night, I finally went back to my apartment for the first time since the wedding. Jerome and Yolanda came with me just in case. But the apartment was empty, unchanged. It felt strange walking through rooms I had shared with Nathan so many times. "I am going to move," I decided suddenly. "I cannot stay here. Too many memories." "Good idea," Yolanda said. "Fresh start. New place. New chapter." We spent the evening packing up Nathan's things. His clothes, his books, his toiletries. Everything that belonged to him went into boxes. Jerome would have them delivered to Nathan's house. I never wanted to see him again. As I worked, I found little reminders of our relationship. A photo strip from a booth at the fair. A ticket stub from our first movie date. A birthday card he had given me full of loving words that now seemed hollow. I threw them all away. Every single reminder went into the trash. If Nathan had taught me anything, it was that the past was not always worth holding on to. By midnight, my apartment looked different. Emptier but also cleaner. Like a weight had been lifted. I stood in the middle of my living room and felt something I had not felt in days. Nathan was out of my life. His parents were out of my life. Tiffany was out of my life. The whole toxic situation was done. Now I could start healing. Now I could start rebuilding. Now I could start becoming the woman I was always meant to be. The first week after the wedding disaster, I had been in survival mode. Just getting through each day, dealing with the legal issues, talking to reporters. But as the second week began, I realized I needed to actually think about my future. Not the future I had planned with Nathan, but a new future. One that was entirely mine. Monday morning, I sat down at my desk in my apartment and opened my laptop. I worked as an interior designer for a mid-sized firm downtown. I had been scheduled to be on honeymoon this week, but obviously that was not happening anymore. I needed to let my boss know I was available to return to work. As I typed out an email to Sandra, my supervisor, I hesitated. Did I really want to go back to that job? It was fine, stable, but not particularly fulfilling. I had stayed there mostly because it was comfortable, because Nathan had encouraged me to play it safe rather than pursue my dream of starting my own design firm. Nathan had said a lot of things that I now questioned. I deleted the email and instead spent the morning looking at my finances. Thanks to my grandmother's inheritance and my own savings, I had enough money to support myself for at least 2 years without working. Maybe longer if I was careful. What if I used this time to build something new? Something that was truly mine? The idea scared me. But it also excited me in a way I had not felt in a long time. I called Jerome. I am thinking about starting my own business. Interior design? He asked. Yes. I have been working for other people for 5 years now. I have contacts, a portfolio, experience. What if I went out on my own? I think that's a great idea, Jerome said. What do you need from me? Legal help setting up an LLC. Advice on contracts and liability. The business stuff I don't understand. Consider it done, Jerome said. Simone, I am proud of you. A lot of people would be hiding after what happened. But you are taking this as an opportunity to build something better. After hanging up, I spent the rest of the day researching what it would take to start my own firm. Business licenses, insurance, website design, marketing. It was overwhelming but also invigorating. This was mine. Nathan had no part in it. His opinions did not matter. His approval was not needed. Tuesday, I met with Sandra to officially resign from my job. She was supportive and understanding, especially given the circumstances. I saw the news, Sandra said gently. I am so sorry about what happened, Simone. But I think starting your own firm is exactly what you need. You are talented enough to make it work. Thank you, I said. That means a lot. If you ever need a reference or want to talk business strategy, call me, Sandra offered. And when you are ready to take on clients, send some my way. We get requests all the time that we cannot handle. I would rather send them to you than to our competitors. The kindness from people like Sandra reminded me that not everyone was like Nathan. Good people existed. People who supported others without expecting anything in return. Wednesday, I met with Angela Torres again. The charges against Nathan had been filed, and his arraignment was scheduled for the following week. How are you doing with all of this? Angela asked after we finished discussing the case. Better, I said honestly. Some days are harder than others. But I am moving forward. That's all you can do, Angela said. Simone, I want to prepare you for what comes next. Nathan is going to have a lawyer, and that lawyer is going to try to make you look bad. They will argue that you are a scorned woman seeking revenge, that you manipulated evidence, that you are not a reliable witness. But I have recordings, I said. I have proof. I know, Angela said. And that's why we will win. But it won't be easy. The trial, if it goes to trial, could take months. You will have to testify. You will have to relive everything in front of a courtroom full of strangers. I took a deep breath. I can do it. If it means Nathan faces consequences for what he did, I can do it. Good, Angela said. Because you might be the difference between him going to prison or walking free. Thursday, I went apartment hunting with Yolanda. My lease was not up for another 6 months, but I wanted to start looking. I needed a fresh start, a place with no memories of Nathan. We looked at 3 apartments. The first was too small. The second was in a sketchy neighborhood. The third was perfect. It was a loft in a renovated warehouse, with huge windows that let in tons of natural light. The walls were exposed brick, and there was enough space for a home office where I could meet with clients. This is it, I said, standing in the middle of the empty loft. This is where I start over. It's perfect, Yolanda agreed. And the security here is amazing. Nathan would never get past the front desk. That sealed it. I put in an application that afternoon. Friday, Lauren's follow-up article came out. This one focused on the other women Nathan had scammed. Christine, Denise, and 3 others told their stories. The article painted a devastating picture of a man who had spent years perfecting his con. My phone rang within an hour of the article going live. It was a number I did not recognize, but I answered anyway. Simone? This is Patricia Morrison. I almost hung up. Nathan's mother. The woman who had helped plan my destruction. I have nothing to say to you, I said coldly. Please just listen, Patricia said, her voice strained. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I am sorry. What we did to you was wrong. Yes, it was, I said. You planned to steal from me. You helped your son con me. Sorry does not fix that. I know, Patricia said. I know I cannot fix this. But Simone, I need you to understand. Nathan is my son. I was trying to help him. He was in debt, he had made bad investments, and I thought if he married someone with money, he could get back on his feet. So you decided to ruin my life to save his? I asked incredulously. It sounds terrible when you say it like that, Patricia admitted. But at the time I told myself it was not really hurting you. That you would still have plenty of money left. That Nathan would make you happy in other ways. He was sleeping with another woman, I said. He was planning to divorce me. How exactly was that going to make me happy? Patricia was quiet for a moment. I did not know about Tiffany. I swear, Simone. I knew Nathan was not in love with you the way he should be, but I did not know he was cheating. When I found out after your wedding, I was horrified. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I am ashamed, Patricia said, her voice breaking. Because my son is facing criminal charges and it is my fault as much as his. Because you deserve better than what we did to you. I am calling to say I am sorry even though I know it does not matter. Even though I know you will never forgive me. I sat there holding the phone, not sure what to say. Part of me wanted to yell at her, to tell her exactly what I thought of her and her horrible parenting. But another part of me just felt tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of the whole situation. Patricia, I finally said. I appreciate the apology. But you are right. It does not fix anything. You and your family hurt me deeply. You tried to destroy my life for money. I hope you can live with that because I have to. I hung up before she could respond. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, surrounded by moving boxes. I had started packing, preparing for the move to my new loft. As I wrapped up dishes and folded clothes, I thought about everything that had happened over the past 2 weeks. I had lost my fiancé, but he had never been real anyway. I had lost the future I planned, but that future was built on lies. What I had gained was much more valuable. Self-respect, strength, independence. The knowledge that I could survive the worst betrayal and come out the other side. My phone buzzed with a text from Yolanda. Dinner tomorrow? You pick the place. I smiled and typed back, how about that new Italian restaurant downtown? I hear they have great wine. Perfect. 7 p.m.? See you then. I put down my phone and went back to packing. Tomorrow I would have dinner with my best friend. Next week I would move into my new apartment. Next month I would start building my business. And somewhere in there I would keep healing. Keep growing. Keep becoming the person I was meant to be before Nathan Morrison tried to break me. He had failed. I was still here. Still standing. Still fighting. And I was just getting started. Moving day arrived on a bright Saturday morning. Jerome and Yolanda showed up at my apartment with coffee and breakfast sandwiches, ready to help me load boxes into the moving truck. To new beginnings, Yolanda said, raising her coffee cup. To new beginnings, I echoed, feeling a genuine smile cross my face for the first time in weeks. The new loft was everything I hoped it would be. The natural light streaming through the tall windows made the space feel open and alive. I spent the weekend unpacking and arranging furniture, turning the empty warehouse space into a home. My home. Not Nathan's. Not ours. Just mine. Sunday evening, I stood in the middle of my new living room and took it all in. The couch I had picked out myself. The artwork I loved but Nathan had thought was too bold. The color scheme that felt like me. Blue and green and splashes of red. Bright and vibrant and full of life. This was who I was when no one was telling me to be someone else. Monday morning, I woke up early and got to work on my business plan. I had decided to name my firm Richardson Design Studio. Simple, professional, and entirely my own. Jerome had already filed the paperwork to establish the LLC, and I had hired a web designer to build my site. By Tuesday, I had my first client inquiry. Sandra from my old firm had recommended me to a young couple looking to renovate their first home. They wanted something modern but warm, sophisticated but affordable. It was exactly the kind of project I loved. I met with them on Wednesday at a coffee shop near their house. Tyler and Shannon were in their late 20s, newly married, and excited about making their house feel like a real home. We saw the news about you, Shannon said hesitantly. I hope this is not inappropriate to mention, but we were really impressed by how you handled everything. It took a lot of courage. Thank you, I said, touched. It has been a difficult time, but I am focusing on moving forward. Well, we would love to have you design our space, Tyler said. If you are taking on new clients. I absolutely am, I said, pulling out my portfolio. Let me show you some of my previous work. We spent 2 hours discussing their vision, their budget, their timeline. By the end of the meeting, they had hired me. My first official client as an independent designer. I walked back to my car feeling lighter than I had in months. This was real. This was happening. I was building something that belonged only to me. Thursday afternoon, Angela Torres called with an update on Nathan's case. The arraignment went forward yesterday, she said. Nathan pleaded not guilty, which we expected. His lawyer is arguing that the relationships were genuine and that any financial discussions were normal for engaged couples. But we have evidence, I said. The recordings, the text messages, everything. We do, Angela confirmed. And we are confident in our case. But his lawyer is good. This is going to be a fight. I am ready, I said. Whatever it takes. Good. Because the preliminary hearing is scheduled for next month. You will need to testify about what you overheard at Nathan's house and what he said in your recorded conversation. I will be there, I promised. Over the next few weeks I threw myself into work. I took on 3 more clients, all small residential projects that allowed me to build my portfolio and reputation. I worked long hours, pouring my energy into creating beautiful spaces for other people. It was therapy in a way. Transforming chaos into order. Taking something broken and making it whole again. Every room I designed felt like a metaphor for my own life. I also started going to actual therapy. Yolanda had gently suggested it and I realized she was right. I needed professional help processing everything that had happened. The betrayal, the public exposure, the ongoing legal battle. It was too much to handle alone. My therapist, Dr. Monroe, was kind and direct. She did not let me hide behind justifications or rationalizations. You were a victim of fraud, she told me in our 3rd session. Nathan Morrison targeted you deliberately. That was not your fault. You were not stupid or naive. You were trusting and he exploited that. I should have seen the signs, I said. Looking back, there were so many red flags. Hindsight is clear, Dr. Monroe said. But when you are in a relationship, when you love someone, you want to believe the best about them. That's human nature. Nathan took advantage of that. He is the one who did something wrong, not you. Slowly I started to believe her. The shame I had been carrying, the feeling that I should have known better, began to lift. I was not responsible for Nathan's choices. I was only responsible for my own. And I was making good choices now. Building a business. Creating a new life. Taking care of myself. 6 weeks after the non-wedding, I received an invitation that surprised me. Christine, the first woman who had contacted me about Nathan, was hosting a dinner for all the women he had scammed. She called it a survivors gathering. I thought it might be healing for all of us to meet, Christine explained over the phone. To share our stories face to face. To remind ourselves that we are not alone. I was hesitant at first. Did I really want to spend an evening talking about Nathan? But something about the idea appealed to me. These women understood what I had been through in a way no one else could. The dinner was at a small private room in an upscale restaurant. 7 women showed up, ranging in age from 26 to 43. We had all dated Nathan at different times over the past 8 years. We had all been targeted, manipulated, used. But as we talked and ate and shared our stories, something remarkable happened. We stopped being victims and became survivors. We laughed at the similar lines Nathan had used on all of us. We compared notes on his techniques. We marveled at how we had all escaped one way or another. To Nathan Morrison, Denise said, raising her wine glass. May he rot in prison for what he did. And may we all go on to live amazing lives despite him. To us, I corrected gently. May we all be stronger than we ever were before. We clinked glasses and drank. Around the table I saw resilience. I saw strength. I saw women who had been knocked down but had gotten back up. I was one of them now. After dinner, Christine pulled me aside. Simone, I wanted to thank you personally. If you had not exposed Nathan at your wedding, the rest of us would still be wondering if we were the only ones. You gave us permission to speak up. I just did what I needed to do, I said. That's the thing about courage, Christine said. It is not about grand gestures. It is about doing what needs to be done even when it is terrifying. You did that. You inspired the rest of us. As I drove home that night, I thought about Christine's words. Courage. Inspiration. These were not words I would have used to describe myself a few months ago. But maybe I was becoming someone different. Someone stronger. Someone who would never let anyone treat me that way again. By the end of November, 2 months after the wedding, my life had transformed. My business was thriving. I had 6 active clients and a waiting list of people who wanted to hire me. My new apartment felt like a sanctuary. My bank account, which Nathan had tried so hard to access, was safely mine. I had not seen or spoken to Nathan since the wedding. His trial was still months away, scheduled for early spring. But he was a ghost now, a bad memory that was fading with each passing day. The preliminary hearing had gone well. I testified about what I had overheard and what Nathan had said to me. His lawyer tried to make me look vindictive, but the evidence spoke for itself. The judge ruled that there was enough probable cause to move forward with the trial. Nathan had looked terrible at the hearing. Drawn and pale, nothing like the confident man I had once known. Part of me felt a tiny bit of pity. Then I remembered his plan to steal from me, to use me, to throw me away when he was done. The pity disappeared. December brought unexpected joy. Richardson Design Studio was featured in a local design blog after one of my clients posted before and after photos of their living room on social media. The photos went viral, and suddenly my phone was ringing with new client inquiries. "You are booked solid for the next 4 months, Yolanda said, looking at my calendar. "Simone, you did it. You actually built a successful business." "We are not there yet," I said, trying to stay grounded. "But we are heading in the right direction." "Give yourself credit," Yolanda said. 3 months ago you were supposed to be married to a con artist. Now you are running your own successful firm. That's incredible." She was right. It was incredible. And it was all mine. That evening I sat in my loft with a cup of tea, looking out at the city lights. My life was not perfect. I still had moments of sadness, flashes of anger about what Nathan had done. I still struggled with trust issues and wondered if I would ever be able to date again. But I was happy. Genuinely, authentically happy in a way I had never been with Nathan. Because this happiness was not based on someone else's approval or love. It was based on my own accomplishments, my own choices, my own life. Nathan had tried to destroy me. Instead, he had freed me. And for that, in a twisted way, I was almost grateful. The new year arrived with possibilities. January brought cold weather and a fresh sense of determination. Richardson Design Studio was officially 6 months old, though it felt like I had been running it forever. The scared, heartbroken woman who had walked away from her wedding was barely recognizable now. I stood in front of a room full of potential clients at a local business networking event, presenting my portfolio. Public speaking had never been my strong suit, but I was learning to push past my comfort zone. "Design is about more than aesthetics," I told the audience. "It is about creating spaces that reflect who you are and who you want to become. It is about transformation." The irony was not lost on me. I had transformed myself over the past few months. Now I was helping others do the same with their homes and businesses. After the presentation, several people approached me with business cards and project ideas. One woman, Gabrielle, owned a chain of boutique hotels and was looking for a designer to refresh 3 of her properties. "Your portfolio is impressive," Gabrielle said. "But what really caught my attention was your story. I read about what happened with your engagement. The fact that you turned that situation into fuel for building a business, that tells me you have resilience. That's what I want in a partner." "Thank you," I said, trying not to let the mention of Nathan throw me off. "I would love to discuss your project in detail." We scheduled a meeting for the following week. If I landed this contract, it would be the biggest project I had ever taken on. It would also mean hiring help, expanding my business beyond just me. The thought was both exciting and terrifying. That weekend, I met with Jerome to discuss the legal implications of expanding my business. We sat in his office, going over contracts and incorporation documents. "You have come a long way," Jerome said, looking at the projected revenue numbers I had prepared. "I am proud of you, cousin." "I could not have done it without you," I said honestly. "You have been there for every step of this." "That's what family does," Jerome said. "Speaking of which, Nathan's trial date has been set. April 15th. My stomach clenched. "That's only 3 months away. Are you ready?" Jerome asked gently. "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me just wants it to be over. But another part dreads having to see him again, having to relive everything. "You will do great," Jerome said. "You are stronger than you think." I wished I felt as confident as he sounded. The meeting with Gabrielle went better than I could have hoped. She loved my design concepts for her hotels and wanted to move forward immediately. The contract was substantial, enough to keep me busy for the next year and bring in significant revenue. "I will need to hire an assistant," I told Yolanda over dinner that night. "Maybe a junior designer too. This is too much work for one person." "That's amazing," Yolanda said. "You are building an actual company, not just a freelance gig." "It is scary," I admitted. "What if I mess it up? What if I am not good enough to manage other people?" "Simone, stop," Yolanda said firmly. "You have proven yourself over and over. You escaped a con artist, exposed him publicly, started a business from scratch and made it successful. If you can do all that, you can definitely manage a couple of employees." She was right, of course. But self-doubt was still a constant companion. Dr. Monroe and I talked about it often in therapy. You are experiencing imposter syndrome, Dr. Monroe explained. After being made to feel small and incompetent by Nathan, you struggle to own your achievements. But Simone, you earned this success. Every bit of it. February brought new challenges and new growth. I hired Kayla, a recent design school graduate, as my assistant. She was enthusiastic and talented, reminding me of myself a few years ago. I also brought on Marcus. Wait, I cannot use that name. I also brought on Brandon, a junior designer with experience in commercial spaces. Training them, delegating tasks, learning to manage people, it was all new territory. But I found that I enjoyed it. There was something satisfying about helping other people grow their skills while building something bigger than myself. The hotel project was going well. Gabrielle was pleased with the initial designs, and we were moving into the implementation phase. I was spending long days on site, working with contractors and suppliers, making sure every detail was perfect. One afternoon, as I was reviewing fabric samples in one of the hotel rooms, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Simone Richardson? Yes, who is this? My name is Tiffany Chen. Wait, I cannot use Chen. My name is Tiffany Brooks. I froze. Tiffany. Nathan's mistress. The woman he had been planning to run away with after stealing my money. I have nothing to say to you, I said coldly. Please, just give me 1 minute, Tiffany said quickly. I know you hate me. You have every right to. But I need you to know that I did not know the full extent of what Nathan was doing. You knew he was engaged to me, I said. You knew he was cheating. That is enough. You are right, Tiffany said, her voice shaking. I knew he was engaged. He told me the engagement was a mistake, that he did not love you, that he was going to break it off. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. I was in love with him. And that makes it okay? I asked. No, Tiffany said. Nothing makes it okay. But Simone, I did not know about the money. I did not know he was planning to con you. When I found out after your wedding, I was horrified. I ended things with him immediately. I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to hang up. But another part was curious. Why are you calling me? I asked. Because I am going to testify at his trial, Tiffany said. The prosecutors contacted me. They want me to talk about my relationship with Nathan, about the things he said about you and his plans. I wanted you to know that I am going to tell the truth. All of it. Even the parts that make me look terrible. Why would you do that? I asked, suspicious. Because it is the right thing to do, Tiffany said. Because Nathan hurt you and he deserves to face consequences. And because I need to own my part in this. I knew he was engaged and I dated him anyway. That was wrong. I cannot change it, but I can at least help make sure he pays for what he did. I sat down on one of the hotel beds processing this. Tiffany was going to testify against Nathan. The woman he had planned to leave me for was going to help put him in prison. Thank you for letting me know, I said finally. I am sorry, Simone, Tiffany said. I know that does not fix anything, but I am truly sorry for my part in hurting you. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there for a long time staring at my phone. I did not forgive Tiffany. I might never forgive her. But I could appreciate that she was trying to do the right thing now, even if it was too late. March arrived with spring rain and budding trees. The hotel project was nearly complete, and the results were stunning. Gabrielle was thrilled and had already started talking about future projects. You have exceeded my expectations, she told me during the final walkthrough. I want to introduce you to some of my colleagues. I think they would be interested in your work. Word of mouth was the best advertising. Within weeks, I had 3 new large commercial projects lined up. Richardson Design Studio was officially a success. But success brought its own challenges. I was working 12-hour days, managing multiple projects, overseeing my small team. I loved the work, but I was exhausted. You need to take a break, Yolanda said one evening when I showed up at her apartment looking haggard. When was the last time you did something just for fun? I tried to remember and could not. I don't have time for fun right now. I have too much work. That's not sustainable, Yolanda said. Simone, you are going to burn out. And then what good will you be to your clients or your employees? She was right. I was so focused on proving myself, on building my business, on staying busy so I did not have to think about Nathan or the trial, that I was running myself into the ground. That weekend, I forced myself to take a day off. I slept in, went for a long walk in the park, read a book that had nothing to do with design. It felt strange at first, almost guilty. But by the end of the day, I felt more refreshed than I had in months. Maybe there was more to life than work. Maybe success did not mean sacrificing everything else. April arrived faster than I expected. The trial was 2 weeks away. Angela Torres met with me to prepare for my testimony. Nathan's lawyer is going to try to discredit you, Angela warned. He will argue that you were a jilted lover seeking revenge, that you manipulated the evidence, that you cannot be trusted. But we have recordings, I said. We have proof. We do, Angela agreed. But juries are unpredictable. We need you to be calm, credible, and consistent. Can you do that? I thought about everything I had been through. The heartbreak, the humiliation, the rebuilding. I had survived all of it. I can do that, I said. The night before the trial started, I could not sleep. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the moment I would see Nathan again. The moment I would have to look him in the eye and tell the truth about what he had done. I was not the same woman he had tried to con. I was stronger now, smarter, more confident. Nathan Morrison had tried to break me. Instead, he had made me unbreakable. Tomorrow, I would walk into that courtroom and show him exactly who I had become. The trial lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks of testimony, evidence, cross-examination. 3 weeks of reliving the worst moments of my life in front of a courtroom full of strangers. But I did it. I took the stand and told my story calmly and clearly. I did not cry though I wanted to. I did not get angry though Nathan's lawyer tried to provoke me. I simply told the truth. Nathan sat at the defense table, looking nothing like the confident man I had once known. He was thinner, paler, diminished. When I testified, he could not meet my eyes. Good. He should be ashamed. The other victims testified too. Christine, Denise, and 4 other women all told similar stories of manipulation and theft. The pattern was undeniable. Then Tiffany took the stand. I watched from the gallery as she nervously explained her relationship with Nathan. She admitted to knowing he was engaged. She admitted to helping him plan a future together after he divorced me. But she also testified about conversations where Nathan had explicitly discussed his plan to access my inheritance. Where he had laughed about how easy it was to manipulate me. Where he had calculated exactly how long he needed to stay married before filing for divorce. Her testimony was devastating. And it came from the woman Nathan had claimed to love. The jury deliberated for 2 days. I spent that time trying to work, trying to distract myself, but I could not focus. Everything came down to this. On a rainy Thursday afternoon, Jerome called me. The jury has reached a verdict. They want everyone back in the courtroom in an hour. I changed into a blue dress and drove to the courthouse. My hands were shaking as I walked through security, but I kept my head high. The courtroom filled quickly. All the other victims were there, along with reporters and curious onlookers. Nathan was brought in looking pale and scared. The judge entered and everyone stood. Then the jury filed in, their faces serious and unreadable. Has the jury reached a verdict? The judge asked. We have, Your Honor, the jury foreman said. In the case of the state versus Nathan Christopher Morrison, on the charge of fraud in the first degree, how do you find? We find the defendant guilty. I exhaled a breath I had not realized I was holding. Guilty. He was guilty. Around me, the other victims were crying, hugging each other. Christine grabbed my hand and squeezed it. We did it, she whispered. Nathan's face crumpled. His mother, sitting behind him, sobbed loudly. His father sat stone-faced, staring straight ahead. The judge set sentencing for 6 weeks later and adjourned the court. As everyone filed out, I allowed myself one look back at Nathan. He was being led away by bailiffs and he finally looked at me. I saw fear in his eyes. Regret. Maybe even a hint of the man he could have been if he had chosen differently. But it was too late for regrets. Too late for second chances. I turned and walked out of the courtroom without looking back. The sentencing hearing was less dramatic but equally satisfying. The judge sentenced Nathan to 12 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 8. He was also ordered to pay restitution to all his victims. I would get my money back eventually, though I did not need it anymore. Richardson Design Studio was profitable enough to support me comfortably. After the sentencing, Angela Torres approached me. How do you feel? Relieved, I said honestly. Like I can finally close this chapter and move on. You should be proud of yourself, Angela said. Your willingness to speak up made all of this possible. Nathan Morrison will not be able to hurt anyone else for a long time. That night, Christine organized another dinner for all the survivors. We gathered at the same restaurant as before, but this time the mood was celebratory rather than somber. To justice, Christine said, raising her glass. To justice, we all echoed. As we ate and talked and laughed, I realized how far I had come. These women had been strangers 6 months ago. Now they were friends, bonded by shared experience and mutual support. We were not defined by what Nathan had done to us. We were defined by how we had responded, how we had survived, how we had thrived despite him. Life returned to normal after the trial ended. Or rather, it returned to my new normal. Work was busy but manageable. I had learned to delegate better, to trust my team, to take time for myself. Kayla was thriving as my assistant and had started taking on small design projects of her own under my supervision. Brandon was handling all the commercial projects with increasing confidence. Richardson Design Studio had outgrown my loft. I rented office space in a renovated building downtown, with room for my growing team and a proper conference area for client meetings. 6 months after the trial, I was invited to speak at a conference for small business owners. The topic was turning adversity into opportunity. I almost said no. Talking about Nathan and what happened still felt raw sometimes. But then I thought about the other women who might be in situations like I had been. Women being manipulated, controlled, used. If my story could help even one person recognize the warning signs and get out, it was worth the discomfort. The conference was at a downtown hotel. As I waited backstage to give my presentation, I felt nervous but also excited. This was my story to tell, my lessons to share. I walked onto the stage to polite applause and began my presentation. I talked about meeting Nathan, about the slow manipulation, about discovering his betrayal. I talked about the decision to expose him publicly rather than hide in shame. And I talked about what came after. The decision to start my own business. The fear and uncertainty. The small victories that built into larger successes. The worst thing that ever happened to me became the catalyst for the best thing, I told the audience. Not because the pain was worth it, but because I chose to use it as fuel rather than let it destroy me. The applause at the end was thunderous. Afterward, dozens of people wanted to talk to me, to share their own stories of adversity and recovery. One woman in particular caught my attention. She was about my age, professionally dressed, with intelligent eyes. "That was incredible," she said. "I am Imani. I am a lawyer specializing in fraud cases. I would love to buy you coffee sometime and talk about potentially working together." We exchanged business cards and I felt a flutter of something I had not felt in a long time. Interest. Not romantic necessarily, but a connection with someone new. As I drove home that evening, I thought about how far I had come. A year ago, I had been planning a wedding to a man who was planning to rob me. Now I was running a successful business, helping other people tell their stories, making new connections. The pain of Nathan's betrayal would probably always be with me on some level. But it no longer defined me. It was just one chapter in a much larger story. And I was the one writing that story now. Not Nathan. Not anyone else. Just me. 1 year. It had been exactly 1 year since the wedding that never happened. The day that changed everything. I stood in my office at Richardson Design Studio, looking out at the city skyline. The office had expanded again. We now had 6 employees, 3 major commercial clients, and a waiting list of residential projects. The business I had started in desperation and anger had become something real and lasting. My phone buzzed with a text from Yolanda. "Don't forget tonight. 7 o'clock. Dress nice." Tonight was the gala. My gala, actually. I was hosting a fundraiser for an organization that helped women recover from financial fraud and domestic abuse. All the proceeds would go toward legal aid, counseling services, and educational programs. It felt fitting. Using my experience to help others. I left the office early to get ready. My new apartment, the loft I had moved into a year ago, still felt like home. But it was different now. Filled with art I had collected, furniture I had chosen, memories I had made. Good memories. I slipped into a red dress, elegant and bold. The color of confidence. The color of someone who had survived and thrived. Yolanda arrived to pick me up, looking stunning in a green gown. "You look amazing," she said. "So do you," I replied. "Thank you for doing this with me. For everything this past year." "Are you kidding?" Yolanda said. "Watching you build this life has been one of the greatest privileges of my friendship. You inspire me, Simone." The gala was being held at the same hotel where I had spoken at the business conference. The ballroom was decorated beautifully, if I did say so myself. My team had helped with the design, using my signature style of bright, vibrant colors. Guests began arriving at 7. Business associates, clients, friends. Christine and several of the other women Nathan had scammed came to show their support. Even Angela Torres, the prosecutor, attended. "This is wonderful," Angela said, looking around the ballroom. "You have built something really special here, Simone." "We all did," I said. Everyone here contributed in some way. As I mingled with guests, I felt genuinely happy. Not the forced happiness of someone trying to convince themselves they were fine. Real, authentic joy. At 8 o'clock, I took the stage to make a short speech. I looked out at the crowd of people who had supported me through the worst time of my life and helped me build something better. A year ago, I began, I thought my life was over. I had been betrayed by someone I loved and trusted. I felt foolish, broken, alone. But I learned something important in the years since then. We are not defined by what happens to us. We are defined by how we respond. I talked about starting the business, about the other women who had come forward, about the importance of supporting victims of fraud and abuse. This organization we are supporting tonight saves lives, I said. It gives people the tools and resources they need to escape bad situations and rebuild. It gives them hope. And sometimes hope is the most powerful thing we can offer. The applause was warm and enthusiastic. As I stepped off the stage, I felt a sense of completion. This chapter of my life was truly closed now. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of conversations and celebrations. We raised over $50,000 for the organization, far exceeding my goals. As the gala was winding down, Jerome pulled me aside. I have something to tell you. Nathan's parole hearing was last week. My stomach clenched. And? He was denied. He will serve at least another 7 years. I let that sink in. 7 more years of Nathan in prison. 7 more years before he could potentially hurt anyone else. How do you feel about that? Jerome asked. Honestly? I said. I don't feel much of anything. A year ago, I would have been angry or satisfied or something. But now, Nathan just feels like someone from a different lifetime. Someone who has nothing to do with who I am today. That's growth, Jerome said with a smile. As the last guests left and the cleaning crew began breaking down the event, I sat at one of the tables with Yolanda and Jerome, tired but content. To Simone, Yolanda said, raising her glass of water. Who took the worst thing that ever happened to her and turned it into something beautiful? To all of us, I corrected. I could not have done any of this alone. We sat there talking for another hour, reminiscing about the past year. The challenges, the victories, the unexpected moments of grace. Finally, we said our goodbyes and I headed home. As I drove through the city streets, I thought about the woman I had been a year ago. Heartbroken, humiliated, scared. She seemed like a stranger now. I had become someone new. Someone stronger, more independent, more sure of herself. Someone who knew her worth and would not settle for less than she deserved. The next morning, I woke up to my alarm and smiled. Sunday. My day off. I had learned to protect my time, to balance work with rest, ambition with self-care. I made coffee and sat on my balcony watching the city wake up. My phone buzzed with a text from Imani, the lawyer I had met at the conference. We had been getting to know each other over the past few months, grabbing coffee between our busy schedules. Brunch today? I found a new place I think you will love. I smiled and typed back, sounds perfect. 11? See you then. I put down my phone and took a deep breath. A year ago, I had been preparing for a wedding to a man who never loved me. Today I was preparing for brunch with someone who made me laugh, who challenged me intellectually, who seemed genuinely interested in knowing me. I was not ready to call it romance. Maybe I would never be ready for that again. But I was open to possibilities, open to connections, open to whatever came next. The doorbell rang. I was not expecting anyone. I walked to the door and checked the peephole, then opened it in surprise. Christine stood there holding a bottle of champagne. I know it is early, she said with a grin. But I got the job. The one I interviewed for last month. VP of Marketing. 6-figure salary. I start next week. Christine, that's amazing, I said, hugging her. Come in. We sat on my balcony, drinking champagne and orange juice, talking about her new job and her plans for the future. You know what the interviewer said? Christine told me. She said she was impressed by my resilience. By the fact that I had been through a difficult situation and used it to become stronger. She said that's the kind of person they want leading their team. She's right, I said. You are resilient. We all are. Christine looked at me seriously. Simone, I mean this. If you had not exposed Nathan at your wedding, I would still be wondering if I was the only one. I would still be carrying that shame and confusion. You gave me permission to speak up, to own my story. Thank you for that. You don't need to thank me, I said. We helped each other. After Christine left, I got ready for brunch with Imani. I chose a blue blouse and jeans, comfortable but nice. As I styled my hair, I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back was confident, successful, happy. She had scars, yes, But those scars were proof that she had survived. That she had fought and won. Brunch with Imani was lovely. We talked about our work, our goals, our favorite books and movies. She made me laugh with stories from her law practice. I found myself relaxing, enjoying the moment without overthinking it. I have to say, Imani said over coffee, I really admire what you have built. Not just the business but the whole support network for fraud victims. That takes vision and heart. I had good teachers, I said, thinking of all the women who had come forward, who had shared their stories, who had helped each other heal. As we left the restaurant, Imani turned to me. I know this might be forward, but would you like to go to a concert next weekend? My firm has box seats and I thought you might enjoy it. A year ago, I would have panicked at the question. But now I simply smiled. I would like that. Text me the details? Absolutely. I drove home feeling lighter than air. I was not sure what was developing with Imani, and that was okay. I did not need to have everything figured out. I just needed to be open to possibilities. That evening, I sat down to write in the journal Dr. Monroe had recommended I keep. I had been writing almost every day for the past year, processing my thoughts and emotions. Dear past Simone, I wrote. The one who stood outside Nathan's house and heard those terrible words. The one who thought her life was over. I want you to know that we made it. We more than made it. We thrived. The pain you are feeling right now will not last forever. You will survive this. You will build something beautiful from the ashes. Trust me. Trust yourself. Love, future Simone. I closed the journal and set it aside. Tomorrow I would go back to work. I had a new hotel chain project starting, and Kayla needed help with a challenging residential client. Life would go on, full of challenges and triumphs and ordinary moments. But tonight, I just wanted to sit with the satisfaction of how far I had come. From victim to survivor to thriver. From broken to whole. From lost to found. Nathan Morrison had tried to destroy me for money. Instead, he had inadvertently given me the greatest gift of all. The chance to discover who I really was. The strength I never knew I had. The life I was always meant to live. I walked out onto my balcony one more time, looking at the city lights sparkling in the darkness. Somewhere out there, Nathan was in prison, living with the consequences of his choices. Somewhere out there, other women were surviving their own betrayals, finding their own strength. And here I was, Simone Richardson, business owner, survivor, fighter, winner. The sweet taste of victory was not about Nathan's punishment. It was about my freedom, my success, my happiness. I had won. Not against him but for myself. And that made all the difference.